What is going on, people? Welcome back. Johnny here, and we are going to pick up with the Dwarfs where we left off momentarily. I do appreciate the comments. There's been lots of those coming in. They're very positive and motivating, so I would appreciate it if the rest of you could leave comments, and I read them, I respond myself. So there you go. Either way, one of the main issues we're running into is being short on wood. Also, wealth starting to increase dramatically as things continue here. So we do need to start thinking about getting steam power on, getting proper bedrooms finished for everybody, so on and so forth. Regardless of that, picking up where we left off last time, as always, when traders show up, predators attack them. We do buy some furniture off those dudes, and they do take out a troll or two for us, so there's that. But we still have a whole lot of smoothing to do. I'd say that's the main limitation we've had. If I could get a couple belt of ardors and put them on my main constructors, you can see we maxed out final transmutation. The maxed out version has the highest percentage chance of turning enemies to gold when you cast it. So I maxed that out, and let's hope it pans out. We did walls and structures. We're going to go for dwarven doors. We need to get through steam power so we can get that infestation thumper up and running before our wealth gets too big and a massive Skaven infestation kills us again. Jabberslice shows up, but our doors are closed, or will be momentarily, so it doesn't much matter. Chaco, who is well injured, runs over there and deals with that. Stoneheart gets the favor of Valaya, so he may tend faster, which is alright. 10's wounds significantly faster. Predators stay on top of keeping us well stocked with meat. We're going to start building shelves as well. We just have too much crap laying in too many random places, and the shelves are phenomenal, as we all know now with the biotech expansion. So there you go. Cooking seems worthless. Gardening, we do want to plant trees, but I do also want embrasures, advanced furniture, advanced light and heat. We need armor and apparel repair as well. It's not going to be too long. We also need a proper room for eating. That would be nice to have. I'm going to double wall it to isolate the cook room from everything else in terms of temperature. Sorry, double door it. So either way, they get to work on that mining. A heat wave strikes, and at this point, we're actually ready for that, so we can just make some little cooling devices, and I don't think we'll really have any problem with it. We have a decent amount of wood now, not as much as we should like, but a passive cooler or a handful of them sprinkled around definitely solve our problem here. So regardless of that, making some walls for the double doors that are going to go from the cook room. And you can see my updates to the doors on the east views. Much improved from where it used to be. There you go. That's what we're talking about. And either way, constructors stay very busy around here. That's Kaza. Gotrik flips back and forth, constructs. His main focus is plants, because we do need to keep the harvests coming in and the cotton coming in and a million other things, you name it. I'm going to close the vent. Perhaps it doesn't make sense to keep the cook room cold now that we actually have a freezer and it's very close to where they're cooking regardless. So I'm going to try that for a while. We also need to start making some workrooms somewhere to move the stone cutting bench inside. Be worthwhile. Also, smoothing is the never-ending problem. There's 8 Pegasi outside, which is interesting. I don't think the other predators will attack them given their size. We do finish that level advanced furniture and jump into the first level of steam power. And we do have a few steam vents around. A thumper, infestation thumper, does use a massive amount of steam, and if it gets below 95% steam power, then it will not function at all. So we do have to probably plan on grabbing at least 2 steam vents. I was doing some mining outside. I think that may or may not be a worthwhile endeavor, but at the very least, we need to claim some space and start getting shelves set up to store things like blocks and steel and all that outside for the short term. Meanwhile, the main research room is a mess. Despite that, they have a party in there. Also, there's nobody really focusing on the crafting. That's also a bit of a headache. Those little survival candles do produce heat, so if it's hot outside, it is a bit of a problem to have them up and burning. But there's a mad lynx, which, whatever, seems pretty typical. I do periodically shift priorities around. There's a troll that battles the mad lynx, and Rugnason gets involved too, for whatever it's worth. So either way, we're going to bring that lynx in and consume it, assuming this troll doesn't eat it all. The troll will definitely recover. We do have a weird... This is not a chaos beast. It's from one of the mythological monsters mods, so it will give us normal meat. Although it does look a lot like the Tuskar, I will admit. Either way, that's RimWorld. So iron doors is what I was making before. I'm just checking the strengths here. The steel door is the strongest. I think we have a ton of copper. We're going to start using copper for interior doors. I also decided to do that for human furniture as well. We're looking for stronger doors also. Not sure it's worthwhile. There's a hearth if we finish advanced light and heat. Burial, apparel. If we can get apparel done, we can actually build a tailoring bench for dwarfs, but too many options, so much that we want to work through, so little time, and too few hands for the massive undertaking we've started here. This is typically how my RimWorld goes. I want to do everything. Some of our critters get plague. The critter sicknesses continue in the next few episodes like you wouldn't believe, and probably we burn through more medicine on that than we do on the human likes from any battle that they fight, but that's not atypical. We're trying to get enough animals set up so that we can live off the meat from those, because at some point all these animals out here will dry up. We at some point will also make a proper barn, put some piles of hay in there, and call it good. Some sheep join at that point. Unfortunately, there's not a shit ton of predators around at the moment to eat them, so we actually managed to round them up and bring them in. There you go. So textiles are overrunning the shelves. There's a lot of ambrosia on the map, and I'm going to let it grow a bit more before I decide to harvest. I also have to do something with all this stuff we have laying around. For some reason, I still have copper laying inside. I'm going to claim the space in here and put in a second stone cutting room. If we have another pawn not up to much, we can at least start getting all the stones that are laying around broken down into blocks. And, okay, the thunderstorm strikes. Of course, it strikes our fence and our crops. I'm going to stop growing outside. I think it's a liability and a bit of a headache, and it also lures critters inside that then step on our traps and leave us somewhat defenseless. Despite that, though, the gods of lightning and thunder continue to plague us, or at least our rice patch and our corn patch, and the potatoes we've already harvested. So, yeah, that's more than a little frustrating. We're going to lose all that corn that was ready for harvest. Pretty sure the game is secretly coded somewhere to make that happen. And it's at this point with our fence down that the animals decide to come in and have a feast on our crops, which is a bit frustrating. It's going to get us a lot of meat, but it also means we have to rebuild our traps once again, and darn boomalopes are exploding everywhere and causing fires, and the dry thunderstorm also caused some fires outside. So either way, though, another massive amount of meat is provided for us. Psychic drones occur at that point, and I don't know, periodic mad animals, and many times animals like these two that are charging us right now come in maddened or just to hunt us. More than a little bit of a problem. We're just going to hide inside from these guys. Hope our Tuskar takes them out again, or our Razor Gore takes them out again. We did leave a Pegasus mare dead and a different Pegasus out there. Whatever, we'll gather them up eventually. These guys shouldn't be around for too long, and it's It's not freezing out yet. It's not even at a refrigeration temperature. But there you go. The Razor Gore does the job again. He does finally get his ass kicked. Both of those critters are pretty tough. He did take one of them down anyway, so I guess 2 was too much. If we just leave that other dude, he'll probably succumb to his wounds. I deeply contemplate saving the Razor Gore, but in the end I decided it's not worth any of our human lives getting hurt for it. A Dunite meteor falls in the south, but we do ignore that for the time being. We have too much already going on in terms of hunting. We do need to get the Pegasi brought in before they rot. They do have a day and a half roughly left before that happens. Traps have to be rebuilt. You can see our wood is at 680. Gold is still at 571. And that Sabertusk actually didn't get killed. It just went to sleep and woke up normal. So I do hit it with a magic arrow to wound it enough to bring it down eventually. There's a Psychic Soothe on for the ladies, of which we have 3. And that's a good thing as well. Take care of some potential mood issues. There's some visitors that show up at that point too. And there's a Muffalo laying down there that looks fantastically delicious. At some point, we can start making those big fancy rugs too, but before I start dumping too much into things that are going to raise our wealth, we have some junky weapons around. I do want to get infestation thumpers in place so we can control where the infestations happen. These guys really don't have a lot of money. They're not offering us too much, but at least we can get rid of some bows that are laying around that we really don't want, and some clothing that we really don't want, and a troll heart. Not a big deal. We also have all this ambrosia. We might as well sell it to claim as much of their cash as we can. Plus we buy beer, which is ever a good thing as far as I'm concerned. Shelves are being built. We're almost through all of the steam research. I do decide to go for flooring. The smoothing is taking a bastard of a long time, and we're queuing up a shit ton of blocks with all this mining. So potentially I'm going to switch. There's Gotrik having himself a beer and just waving at everybody that goes by saying, how you doing? By the time we get to smoothing walls, it's we need more hands on deck. But in the next couple, either this episode or the next, that problem will be solved dramatically. We end up growing way faster than I had wanted to. Regardless of that, we carry on, and the animals continue to stay outside, which is a good thing, not coming in. Wildman wanders in, and Laura of Nurgle Mage, she's a pyromaniac. I never take pyros. I hate pyromaniacs. But maybe. We'll see what we can do. We have enough bodies if he does have a snap and go around. It's fine. Not a big deal, right? He does manage to make his way into our home because someone left a giant log blocking the door. I teeter-totter on whether I should take that guy or not. We do let him inside. I think I'm going to try and tame him. Why not? I never take pyros. I'm sure you'll be hearing me complain dramatically about pyromaniacs and their bullshit. He's pretty beat up from stepping on our traps, but other than a right leg stab scar, which we can take care of later, it's not a very big deal. So Stoneheart tries to tame War. War can just walk through doors like they're not even there. Did you see that? Maybe it's those doors. Another failed attempt. Maybe it's those doors that get added. Apparently only RimWorld doors block wild people. That's very interesting, but whatever. I'm not going to complain too much. The eating room is coming along nicely, and there's a raid by the Ambas tribe. So the 6 of us run outside and attempt to handle the problem. We do have a fair amount of traps in place. Some of them are still steel near the end. I don't think we'll have any problems with these dudes, but maybe we'll get some more gold here. It's always a nice treat when we can turn somebody to gold. Unless they come at us too fast or flee before we get over there. But as we've discovered, even if a pawn has gone down, we can still turn them to gold. All right, one dude in. Kaza, shoot. All right, here we go. Final transmutation. Gotrik, make it happen. No love from that one. Either way, that does force the rest of them to flee. I debate on attacking them. There's really not a big benefit to doing so. There they are. But, I mean, other than potential gear or taking of prisoners and whatnot, either way, you can see Docom there in the hallway. It's going to make a tasty addition to our crew. She does try to bash her way back into the hold. It's an interesting choice, maybe because we're all out here, but regardless, we're going to see what we can do to bring Pico down. We need to send somebody over to smash. Here she comes. Dacom, and they've left us a pig as well. We're going to melee attack her, and it's not going to take much with this brutal band of buttheads to bring her down. And that's that. There you go. So no more gold from that casting or from those foes, but that's okay. Ragnarsson gets hunted by a big-ass cat. So, yep, Mornfang, not fun. Manages to make his way in. They're extremely brutal animals. They will rip limbs off and can easily kill pawns. So we dump everything we have into bringing him down. We do take some wounds, relatively significant ones, but nothing we can't tend and recover from. Fortunately, Stoneheart finally shows up to the battle. Some Slayer you are, Stoneheart. All right, well, Ragnarsson is injured and is getting treated. Rockdigger, Gotrik, the whole crew is back together again. We do tend that pawn that we beat up outside. She laid there for quite a while, but we do get her tended, and we are going to bring her in. She's a nudist ascetic, which that's pretty great, actually. I don't mind the nudist thing. She's human, so she's going to freeze periodically, but once we get steam power up and running, the place will be nice and warm. I'm going to do bedrooms and general rooms in more of a pod shape. Sick of everything being squared off, and we'll use the spaces from the bedrooms to the main hallway as work spaces, and I think it'll look more interesting when we're all done, rather than just squaring everything off like you're more inclined to do in RimWorld. But Dacom should be able to provide some good benefit for us if we can finally get her to convert. Stoneheart has tamed War, so we do get another dwarf. Lore of Nurgle Mage joining us, so there's a little more magic for us. And we don't really have a lot of weaponry. That's another problem. Either we need to start buying weapons or we need to start making weapons. But, I mean, there's plenty laying around, but nothing fantastic. An iron spear seems to be the best option. And some dwarfs show up to trade with us at this point. We do have a fair amount of veggies we're going to sell and a whole bunch of textiles, even though we are going to make clothing soon. We buy a Wand of Resurrection, sell the Troll Heart, and buy some basic furniture. That limestone dowie fine chair, those require gold to make, so why not buy it rather than make them later? They're also very nice, but they do take a lot of effort to build, so we can save ourselves some headache just by purchasing one rather than dinking about. You can hear them over there constantly casting spells on themselves. And it's at that point we get a Skyfaller, Peterson, who is a Lore of Light mage with decent stats. A couple permanent injuries, but we can take care of those as soon as we get some capacity to heal. And she's not going to be super happy until then, but I think we can make her one of ours. And we'll bring her in and rescue her and see if she'll convert on her own or if we have to imprison her. Mantle of Gorak continues to be... She's decided to leave us. Sorry, Mantle of Gorak continues to be cast by our visitors, and Peterson decides to leave. Another Ambrosia Sprout comes up. We have so much stuff. We just need to deal with all the stuff. Drives me nuts. We've been shearing our sheep, so there's another benefit to keeping sheeps over goats. We do have to find a way. Yeah, we're going to arrest her. Piss on it. Oh, stick her in there with Dacam and see if we can't get her converted. Right now, the weather's nice, so it's not freezing in there. She has no resistance, so she's a Skyfaller, so she instantly decides to join. We do have to place her somewhere for a bedroom, and this is like the nicest room we have for a floor barracks. Not ideal, but it is what we have. But she will be a great researcher. We have to find where her staff went. There you go. And we're working on mining out the bedrooms. It's going to be a massive amount of work. She does have Illuminate the Edifice, which is a spell that will make a permanent, not permanent, but light that we don't have to refuel or anything, and that will last a good long time. 45 days, I believe, depending on the spell level too. But regardless, we end up doing mining on bedrooms. Peterson immediately gets to work with research. That's going to be good because she'll gain magic skill points faster while she's researching. Our skill sets are mixed pretty bad. You can see Deckham's about to join us as well, and some ogres come and pay us a visit at that point. They don't have a ton to trade. We do manage to get rid of some junk we didn't want and collect all their cash. Cold Snap sets in at that point, and if that tells you anything, it's get out there and harvest anything you can before it croaks. Somebody else shows up right there, and Rock Digger's standing there, but not a big fan of talking to people. So Rock Digger's not going to do anything for us other than hauling a dead deer. But anyway, we just sell some more random weaponry, buy some medicine. It's not a bad idea to buy medicine every time you can, especially, well, right now we really don't have much. We have 20 fungal, 4 herbal, and 3 good medicines. I do have a nudist thing going, so anybody that is a nudist, I just make them a nudist because they'll stay happier. And if they get a little frostbite, well, that's their problem. This is a RimWorld issue. Now, looking around for where to place people and how to set up work. You can pause it and see she's going to actually become a crafter, tailor, smith, which seems very valuable since nobody is currently doing any of those jobs very frequently. Constructors are all over stuff though, so that's nice. Dackham, Peterson, and it's at that point that we have an infestation, which gives us a ballpark on when our next infestation will arrive. It's typically about 45 days apart that it's an available event, unless that's changed in the game config. You can see our wealth, about 75,000 currently, which isn't terribly dramatic, so I don't expect this one to be too bananas in terms of the strength of these dudes. Plus we have some pretty solid melee people at the front of the line. I'm going to set everybody to attack mode, and I can't really do magic with Gotrik while he's in the front like that. Peterson doesn't have any attack spells. They're just going to sit in the back, and if anybody comes through, they'll beat him up. We do take some wounds on Rugnason. Rugnason is constantly getting his ass kicked. Stoneherd goes in butt naked, minor wounds. Rugnason, wearing all this clothing, suffers every time. So anyway, not much to worry about there in terms of how it's going to play out. We do find some steel as we're mining. Periodically we do find things that make us have to rebuild walls where our bedrooms are. We have 3 people currently sleeping in the feasting hall. There's a couple of muffalo laying about that we can certainly bring in, and we have rats and trolls, all manner of critters to butcher. The cloven ones show up at that point, and they fall from the sky, so they show up in a lot of places. We have to decide how best to deal with them before they start bashing everything up, starting fires where we really don't want fires. Most of them seem to be in the south. There's a few elsewhere. On the one benefit here is they all seem to have armor, so while it's going to be harder to take them down, it's also something we can smelt for extra material should we need it. A lot of it appears to be copper though, which is non-ideal given the massive surfeit of copper we already have. We're just going to run up there and start punching the dude, except for Kazo, who can hopefully wing him before he gets to him. Gotrik's going to try a Gleaming Arrow as well, because maybe nobody can get hurt. The animals start fleeing, yeah. We do have ranged attacks hitting armor. And our trap situation is non-existent at the moment. If any of these guys are decent, I may consider having a Beastman. They'd have to be a really good pawn, though. I'm not taking any Shiza pawns if I can help it at this point. There's like 5 or 6 of them in the south. Chaco and Rock Digger are going to take down the one that came over from the east. Sorry, that's the west side. And the other ones are, meanwhile, making their way through our trap corridor, which doesn't have any traps in it. And they're shooting us, which is not going to be a good thing. You can see, instead of just walking, Well, there was one trap there that one of them hit, so that's nice. At least that saves us some hassle. They all have these bows, and the Ungar bow is no joke. You don't really want to pretend it's shit. Rugnason's going to have to try and take out Duck Tack all on his own while getting shot from the front and behind, and one of them being a throwing axe. There we go. They're going to flee, but all these dudes that are inside have to be destroyed the old-fashioned way. Rugnason does end up getting defeated and going down with not many injuries. Most of the injuries that he has are from before. Sorry, that she has. Rockdigger and Chaco have solved their problems. They're going to come out and try and take care of Bencock. And Dimitri is fleeing off the map the only way that they can. This many people, though, it doesn't take much to get all these guys dealt with. We'll get them stripped, get their armor smelted. And there's the last one, Death Wound. They also had the benefit of leaving us some slag, so that was nice of them. But it's going to be it for today, guys. Please leave a like if you're enjoying. Comment. I read them all. I respond. I do appreciate you having been here. We'll get our own person rescued. It's just a big mess. I feel like we're trying too much and don't have the hands to get the work done, but we did manage to grow a bit today. Wealth has to come down, or we need that infestation thumper and some proper defenses. I do not want this one to go the way the last one went. So, whatever. We get pulled in 1,000 different directions, right? See you next time.